This is a wrap on the shareholder meeting by Tesla and the interview that Musk gave with David Faber, which I think was very interesting. I think main points, they are considering advertising, which is interesting. I want to talk about this because it's not about the advertising. It's about the philosophy behind it. I want to talk a little bit about Musk's comments on Taiwan. And I want to also mention his, I think, very deliberate description of what the problem is with work from home, and then also about the situation with OpenAI and AI in general and his fears. There is an essay I'm just about to finish where I'm actually writing about this, and I'm very happy that Musk is kind of supporting my argument here, because it is really about manipulation. In particular, let's say chatbots are about manipulating humans, and that is the danger. So he's mentioning that sort of in a not direct way, but definitely he's on that same page, and that's pretty important. This is not even on podcast. It's May 17, 2023. This is Krim Delco. Since the last update, we're up 6%. The market's up 1.2%. For the year, we're up 42%. The market is up 9.2%. We're outperforming by 30.8%. The Tesla shareholder meeting took place yesterday in Austin, Texas. And I want to discuss sort of the main points. Before I discuss that, I just want to mention the one thing that I would like to ask Tesla if I had been invited. Unfortunately, I was not invited. But the one question I have for Tesla, which is I think the crucial question for any long-term shareholder, and that is about recruiting. And the recruiting of Tesla happens like every other company. They're recruiting their top talent from the top colleges in the US and a little bit international. And my question is the following. You're fully integrated company. You're doing a lot of things upstream, including things like lithium refining. You're making your own seats. You're doing your own software, your own chip design. But when it comes to humans, you just take them from the legacy system called academia. And there's a lot of good things and bad things about this. The good thing is, like everything else, it's outsourced. You don't have to deal with it. You take over people who have spent sometimes $1 million+ to educate themselves. So that's a great benefit. But of course, the downside is that first you get cookie cutter knowledge. You get a culture that it is what it is, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily very entrepreneurial, particularly not because the college situation has become very difficult. Because what is the legacy college system? It has three pillars on which it stands. One is knowledge creation. Second, it's the church, meaning it's the prestige and status and almost religious value that society attaches to the system that we call academia. And then third, of course, there's also actually job preparation. And let's start with the last one. I mean, if you ask 100 professors at the top 10 universities in the United States, what is your job? I don't think one of them would say, well, it's to prepare my students to go work somewhere. So there's already a problem there. Second, if you then ask them, okay, look, what is your job? Let's say, they would talk about, I don't know, inspire kids and do research. Actually, most of them would say do research, which is what they should be doing, okay? So it looks like, don't read between the lines, just read the lines. What is the university system today? It's a place where people can do research, creative research, and often actually do good research. You can argue it's not the most efficient way to do it, because also government gets involved and all those sort of things. But nevertheless, it's a pretty good system. Now, they will also not mention the other 800-pound gorilla, which is, well, we're all about status signaling, virtue signaling. We're a place for rich kids to pretend to be doing some work when in fact they're just sitting on campus, on fancy campuses, wasting their parents' money or grandparents' college money and all that. Of course, nobody would admit that, but that's unfortunately also what the university system has morphed in. So the university system is definitely becoming like a church type of institution, and you're hiring from that particular system. There's a lot of inefficiencies here. So what is your answer to? Is there something you can do about it? Because you're saying, these are the words of Elon Musk at the shareholder meeting, the most successful companies are going to be those where the best people are. Well, if the people come from this system, which again is relatively old-fashioned, has a lot of baggage to carry with. It's very expensive for one. It's just very expensive. And anything which is very expensive is almost by definition not good, because that means there's not enough competition and the people who run it are not doing enough to lower the cost. So there's something wrong with very expensive systems, period. So that would be my question. Now, I wasn't able to ask that question, so therefore let's just jump into the conversation that Musk actually had with David Faber, which was after the shareholder meeting, and then also I want to mention what was mentioned during the shareholder meeting. But I think what stood out to me in the David Faber interview is Musk, for the first time, was very clear about why he's so against work from home. And he said it is like the Marie Antoinette moment where she says, well, let them eat biscuits. And what he means with that is this pinnacle of decadence of an elite society which doesn't understand how most people live. Because there are these people, these so-called paper-pushing office people, most of them coming from these top universities, that get those jobs that allow them to work from home, which destroys productivity, so makes them even more expensive to hire, makes them even more of a waste to society. And on top of that, they think it's perfectly fine for them to sit home in their pajamas, tending to their newborn kids and pretending to be working, while other people actually go to factories and clean houses and fix food and work on the farms and do all these other things that are necessary to sustain our lives. And that is the Marie Antoinette moment he's talking about. And I think it's a very powerful statement, and I'm happy that he's finally taking the genie out of the bottle. Instead of arguing about productivity, it's not about productivity. Productivity is, it shouldn't even be about productivity. If a CEO wants his people to come home, to come and work, then that is what she wants. She needs to run the business profitably. She's going to do what's good for her business. So this is not about arguing. If there's 5 companies, if there's 10 companies, 5 of them do work from home and 5 of them do work in the office, and they do the same thing, I am 100% sure I'll put all my money on the 5 companies that are working in the office, because the work from home will just be a lot more inefficient. So this is not about inefficiency. It's about something else. And this is what Musk is saying. This is about a class of people who think that they're entitled to a different lifestyle than everybody else. You can be entitled to a lifestyle where you don't go to the office. It's called succeed, make money, have fuck you money, or be rich and have a trust fund. I don't know. But you can't pretend to be part of the workforce and not work. That is not acceptable. So this is the first thing that he mentioned. I think a very powerful statement. And Faber was actually pretty good about it. I could see, I don't know what if he's a left-leaning journalist like everybody else in New York, but nevertheless he let him say his thing, and he left him alone when it comes to, he wasn't arguing too much. He spoke about other things like tweets, and he was trying to sort of put Musk in a position where he takes the side of a mass shooter or something like that. Musk refuted it very quickly with facts, and the conversation went on. So Faber did a good job in not being militant, but still asking relevant questions. Now, further, what else was discussed? I think Musk said something interesting about the situation in AI. Here's quote. He said, if we reverse the positions, and Tesla had to make a chatbot, and Microsoft OpenAI had to make self-driving, Tesla would win. In other words, what he's trying to say is we have the know-how and the ability to build very complex AI systems, and nobody else has that. So we're very, very ahead in real-world AI, which is actually building real AI. And I think he's not saying it in my words, but we have this on our website, on the white paper about AI. We believe that the best way to build intelligence is to build systems, physical systems, that have to move in a physical environment. In my upcoming essay, which is called Turing's Error, or something, the working title is something along those lines, which talks about the fear of AI and the fear of particularly chatbots, which is because they are particularly trained to manipulate humans. And that is one specific intelligence, and I call this intelligence 3.0. Intelligence which is trained to manipulate humans. That is just one part of intelligence. Self-driving cars are not like that. Robots, a home robot that does your dishes is not trained to manipulate you. It is trained to do a certain menial task, and that is actually, I think, where where at least this first stage of really useful AI should go, it is towards executing menial tasks and not towards manipulating humans. So that is why Musk is so confident that he has an upper hand in AI. Having said that, though, he is careful of this intelligence 3.0, which currently is in the hands of Microsoft OpenAI. It's also in the hands of Google Bard and other systems internationally. We need to be careful. And I'm writing about this in my essay, so I'll talk about this. Musk is just mentioning the dangers of all of this, and he's reiterating the strengths of Tesla when it comes to AI, which is reassuring for shareholders. I think the last point I want to mention is his comments on Taiwan, which I thought were very powerful also. Faber asked him, okay, what's your view on China? Do you think they will attack Taiwan? And Musk answered, well, they state officially that they want to reintegrate Taiwan into China mainland. So he said, don't read between the lines, read the lines. And to me, that's like pretty powerful. It's honest. It is what it is. He's saying that's what they want to do. Don't read between the line, read the line. So again, very powerful. And I think this is now a tangent, but this really applies to a lot of things in life. For example, this is the gist of my new essay coming up, Turing's error. Okay, Alan Turing is the father of modern computer science, the father of AI also, although not directly, but he's definitely, I would say, he laid the seeds to what we call AI today. Because he said in his famous paper where he introduced Turing test, where he says, instead of building an adult brain, let's build a child's brain that can learn. So, and that is really the fundamental idea of neural nets, backward prop, and all of those things. Now, what I'm trying to say here is, look, what Alan Turing built was a machine that manipulates humans. He even called it the imitation game. The Turing test is an imitation game. It's a game. There's a lot of reasons why I called it the game, and there's Wittgenstein there and definitionism and things like that. It's a lot more complex for this particular episode. But I just want to say one thing. Read the lines. Don't read between the lines. He's telling you, I'm building a machine that manipulates humans. This is what I consider intelligence. And I agree with that. That is intelligence. And people that are good at manipulating other people are successful and considered intelligent. However, it's only a subset of intelligence. There's a lot of other intelligences that we can build. We can build self-driving cars and so on and so forth. So again, just to finish this episode, I think Musk is the kind of person that reads the lines. Forget reading between the lines. That's a waste of energy. Read the lines and then act accordingly. So to summarize, the shareholder meeting, I think, was interesting. There's not one of those things where you actually expect news. Shareholder meetings are more a wrap of the year and things like that. But with Tesla, it's always a little bit more. So I think what I really took away from here is his openly now explaining what the problem is with work from home. And it's a moral question, not a productivity question, but I think it's very powerful. He stated very clearly that he reads the lines. China wants to integrate Taiwan. This is what's going to happen. So get used to it and adjust your behavior accordingly. And don't pretend. Don't play games. Don't pretend, so on and so forth. And lastly, the most powerful statement actually he made again about AI and the advances of AI. He actually said that he expects Tesla to have a chat GPT moment in maybe a year, which is sort of the next level where all of a sudden you realize how powerful this AI is. Thank you.